Ta-da-dan. Hola community, welcome to another episode of Blender.Today Live, episode 183. Shall we do something for the 200s? Yes. This week, regarding Blender updates, there has been a few remarkable ones, but there is a lot going on under the hood. So I assume we have some surprises, and not yet that much surprise. In open source it's hard to keep surprises. Everything is developed in the open, but there are some big things coming up. So we're gonna see some of those changes, but we're gonna start with a little announcement that the Blender Studio did. The Blender Studio people, they announced that they are going to, that the next open movie project is going to be focused on realism. It's called Project Heist, and it's the next open movie project. I already shared this news a few weeks ago, but they just announced that the part of the research that happens for creating realistic characters, which is something that the Blender Studio has never done. We've never done anything like that. There was realism trying to be achieved for Tears of Steel, but this is like the first time a character is gonna attempt, or the studio is gonna attempt to make it realistic. So there's a lot of research going on there. And the studio announced that on the Blender Studio website, they are going to make this a training that is available for free. So what I'm just saying here is not an advertisement for the Blender Studio, which should be fair to do. They pay the bills for this building. But to share that this training is going to be open for everyone. The first chapter is already there. You can read more in the blog post, but the stylus character workflow, for example, that is like the counterpart that is for stylus characters, and this would be for realistic characters. If you go to I think it's in the training section and then realistic character, you're gonna find some documentation there already that you can start reading about the human head, the body, and so on and so forth. It's a document with links to other parts of the studio, but it's pretty cool that they're making it free, and like knowledge should be free. Of course, there will be like all the assets and files that are behind the paywall because they are part of the open movie project. But it's cool to see this is happening. So that is it for the announcement on the Blender Studio side. Then let's move into the Sculpt side of things, the code blog. Remember last week I hinted there might be a new blog post with updates on Sculpt, and yes, there are. So you can see here in code.blender.org a few days ago on Friday, this article was published, just outlining some of the Sculpt development updates that have happened. Where in the various development branches, this kind of assumes that we know which development branches, but if you follow the live streams, you know that is in the Sculpt dev branch mainly, but there's also one for vertex colors, for example. The one that caught my attention more is the performance improvements that happened in the vertex colors, especially when painting in Blender, which was impossible to play. Well, you can see here there is a video. You probably already read this because you went all over the Blender bubble, at least on Twitter and on Facebook. You can see on the left how slow it is, and on the right how much faster it is. This is part of the development that Pablo Navarro was doing last year, and the blog post is mainly about those features that have been merged from last year's development into Blender now and the master. So not all of them have been merged yet, but this is the product. It's in the process of merging them. Also some new workflows. So the attributes panel that it has been added for a few releases now in Blender, that it's supposed to gather all of the different attributes in one panel. It's gonna be next to the color attributes panel, because the colors are special. Even they are just a type of attribute, yes, but they are special. Sometimes you want to have an active color attribute and another attribute active for something else, you know, like a vertex color or a vertex group, or, you know, anything is an attribute in the end, right? But some of them behave differently, and maybe you want to have a different visualization for certain attribute. So it's good to have them split. Next. Well, you can see some of the new features. Cavity masking is new. Edge boundaries is also super cool. Look on the left how the moment you start smoothing the mesh, it just loses the... There, sorry. The moment you start sculpting, it loses the boundaries. Not anymore. Now they are preserved, and even when you use subdivision, so when you use thin topo, you can see how, well, before this is color, this is not, because with the moment you start sculpting, all the mesh data, like face sets, for example, they were lost. Not anymore. They are preserved, and the face sets borders are also preserved. That's super cool. This enhanced details is basically a bug fix. You can see how bad it used to work. This, I think it was also by Pablo Navarro from last year, or even before. It feels like really long ago. Then Eevee sculpting. Yes, you can sculpt with Eevee on. The next you have thin topo plus Sculpt API. So this is more technical, Sculpt API, but thin topo, dynamic topology. Remember? Dynamic topology was abandoned for a few years. There was not too many improvements, and there were really big drawbacks of using dynamic topology, because the main one was that every time, you probably recognize that if you ever have used dynamic topology, you may recognize that if you had anything like vertex groups or vertex colors, and then you went into sculpt mode and then enabled thin topo, you have this ugly message saying that there is vertex data or other types of data, and it will be lost. Well, that ugly pop-up is never gonna be shown again, because dynamic topology now supports, as you can see here, you can start adding dynamic topology only to this area. Not everything gets triangulated. You can still keep the original data. Plus, you can keep... It looks like Eevee. It is Eevee, but what it's trying to demo is that the UVs are still there. And even with weird brushes like the snake hook brush that creates, like, extrudes topology from it, it also kind of extrapolates the coordinates, the UV coordinates underneath. So that's amazing, super cool. So thin topo is finally useful, and it's also faster, and it's just in time triangulation. You know, no longer triangulates the entire mesh. So it's a, yeah, thin topo comes back to action. When it was introduced many years ago, it was great. It was innovative in Blender. It was like, wow, this is amazing. But yeah, it has its drawbacks that now they are being tackled. So pretty happy to hear that is happening, because it's such a basic tool. It's performance and improving the already existing tools instead of adding new ones, which is always a good thing to do. All right, time. Wow, I snapped my fingers, and I have... No, I'm not gonna raise the middle finger, but I smashed my finger yesterday while cleaning. You know, that happens when you clean a house on a Sunday with a storm outside. Biggest storm in 30 years or so. I hope everybody in this side of Europe is doing well, and outside of Europe too, everywhere. Okay, let's start. Let's start with some news. Okay, the name of the title of this video, it's maybe this much clickbait. It's not actually clickbait. It's technically not clickbait. Why? Because the feature is there. You can now in Blender, when you add the new hair curves object, which you have to enable from the experimental section. Now there is a new sculpt mode on which you can do nothing at all. So that is a clickbait. So there is sculpt mode in the new hair curves object, but it doesn't have anything yet. It's a placeholder, but it is incredibly exciting to see that this is happening, that this is going on, and by no other than Jack Look, so you know that it's in good hands. It's amazing. So yeah, it doesn't do anything yet. It was just adding a new sculpt mode, and this is even, the developers might not be super happy that I'm showing this, but it's just to show the excitement. In the new hair mode, hair curve object, it's enabled once you have developer extras and experimental and then new curves type. So you want your money back. I'm gonna send you a check for 0 pesos, not pesos, pesos. In Latin America we use pesos for many of our currencies. Okay, what else? Yeah, no, that's it. But there has been many commits in that area. So you have a paint cursor, you have, you know, the size, you have the strength. So the future of hair grooming in Blender, it's happening like before our eyes. So there's reasons to celebrate. Nothing yet, but okay, let's switch topics. All right. The next section, let's talk a little bit about performance. There's 2 changes this week that are pretty neat. One of them is in loading. This affects everyone, not just one section. It's everywhere where you have icons, like image icons in Blender, is now much faster. So how much faster? Well, let's just see. So on the left is the old Blender, on the right is a new one. Play both. Yep, I don't know if you could tell, but it used to go like one by one, almost like waiting for the previous one. I didn't see the details, but it looks like it was waiting for the previous render to happen, and now it's just like bam. Awesome. Okay, also in the menus. So those menus that have little thumbnails, like for images or for materials, no. Or maybe this is for images mainly, but now it's just instantaneous. And the asset browser as well. Oh, but this is in the asset browser branch, so it's not in master yet, but it will come. And bam, immediate. And scrolling is also super fast. So yay for that. Yay for performance. There's some discussion going on in the chat regarding the free. I paid $200 for Blender. Did I get ripped off? Well, I would value Blender more than 200, so I don't know if you got ripped off, but yeah, you shouldn't pay. No, Blender is free forever. So yeah, you don't have to pay. Blender is free, but add-ons are paid. No, the add-ons are also, most of them are free, as in free and open source. The GPL license makes them free. But the assets that they come with, usually no. That is up to the people making the add-ons. All right. Next, a small speed up. It's not really, it's 8% faster to enter or to switch, to convert between B-Mesh and Mesh. What is B-Mesh and Mesh? Well, Mesh is what inside of Blender internally calls to the evaluated data. So evaluated mesh. So after modifiers, after all everything, what you get as a result, that is the mesh. But there's also B-Mesh, which is an internal name that Blender uses for the original, usually for the original mesh, the one that is just the bare vertices. And there is a difference there for performance reasons, and I think now legacy, because this used to be, everything used to be B-Mesh, I think, many years ago. But yeah, it's cool that there is now a speed up because this operation happens all the time. Some tools change back and forth between going in and out and converting it back and forth. So you're gonna find a speed up in general, like in many mesh operations. So super nice to see that. And okay, let's switch into now. I think now is very quickly we enter the potpourri section because there's not a lot this week. However, there is foundations for cool stuff to come, such as, okay, let's talk about VR or /XR. There is in the add-on that comes with Blender for VR, there is now customizable actions. What does it mean? Well, you can customize. You can add functionality for editing the default actions settings and creating custom actions via the action maps panel of the VR scene inspection add-on. So what is an action? You have to read it with me because I'm not familiar with this. So action maps are presented as a list view, similar to the VR landmarks, with a circle icon to set the active action set map for the session. From the neighboring drop-down menu, users can load that home was because I think the UI, maybe the icon is not the one that should be used. But yeah, from the neighboring drop-down, users can load the default action maps to populate the list, or export their own custom action maps. Oh, that's cool. You can even export them. Actions and action bindings are accessible in progressive subpanels and are likewise presented as list views in order to maintain a consistent design. Properties for action operators use the same template as key map item properties, allowing them to be edited and saved in a similar manner. Oh wow. User path 0, 1 operator. Wow, super advanced. It's like editing a key map with the broken UI as well. So it's pretty close to the editing a key map. And then bindings. So you can take the action and then binding it to another. Wow, that's super advanced. I have no idea what I can do with this. I have a VR headset at home that I could test. There are separate subpanels for OpenXR extensions or enabling additional interaction profiles. Is anybody using this stuff? Like VR heavily in Blender? Because this sounds like a huge deal. But at least here in the studio, we are not using it anymore, I think. Because, well, during Corona, the headset sharing situation was a bit not optimal. But Corona is supposed to be over by the end of the week, in the Netherlands at least, on the 25th, on Friday. No more 1.5 meters and stuff. So in theory, that can come back. There is also the sub actions, what we just saw. Now it's no longer limited to 2. Now it can be arbitrary number because some devices like the Vive tracker have a higher amount, higher number, sorry, than of actions. And last but not least, well, related to this, it doesn't add any functionality internally, but it's good that the action bindings for the Vive Focus 3 there has been added. And okay, this is not clickbait, but this is a spoiler of a commit that I saw on the branch xr-dev, which was very exciting, and the browser is excited because it's taking a while. Motion capture. So there's this patch that is being tested on the xr-dev branch that adds motion capture objects to XR session settings. For example, if specified, these objects will also auto key on animation playback, which can be used for motion capture virtual camera operations. That is kind of neat. Kind of really neat, I would say. Okay, is this the birth of motion capture in Blender? Okay, let's continue. In the potpourri section, another item in the potpourri section is the 3D view add camera view, pan, zoom for end of devices. For example, what is an end of? The Space Navigator by 3D connection. So have you ever seen these devices that allow you to pan in like super crazy directions? Yeah, so it's like 6 axes, right? That you can even go down if you push it down. They're super fun for visualizations, for moving around the scene in 3D. Blender has support for this for years, and they apparently the panning or zooming was broken, so now it works for any end of device. So yeah, now navigation in camera view now behaves like orthographic pan or zoom. So okay, more news. Again, potpourri section. So we're gonna jump topics from one to the others like there's like nothing. The vertex weight mix. So the vertex weight modifier now has 2 new settings for minimum and maximum. So it goes together with the operations that already has, like adding and multiplying, but there was no maximum or minimum. So now there is. Now there is. You know what else there is? Well, this is a bug fix, I believe. Yes. So it's a bug fix, but I think it's worth mentioning because it's a big one. The weight modifiers, it seems like they were using the same flag value for different modifiers. So if you enable the mask invert in one modifier, it will affect others. So yeah, that's really bad. It's now has been fixed by Alexander Gavrilov on Sunday. We should tell people to not work on weekends. Come on. The website should be down on a week, you know? If you want to keep your developers, or no, what would happen? You know, like a store closes, but a website, no, it's closed until Monday, sorry. Imagine if stores will close on weekends. So many drunk purchases, there will not be. Okay, let's change topic, but not so much actually, because this one is in an modifier, the complex solidify modifier. Complex solidify constraint solver got improved by Henrik. This patch adds a least squares solver to solve the constraints for the constraint thickness mode. This will give much better results in common cases as shown below. So you can see this is a current and this is with the patch. So it doesn't look like much unless you look closely what's going on maybe here in the center. But if you see it from this other side, of the other point of view, you see that the dark orange is the old and this really crooked, and the light orange is correct. Looks very nice. Okay. Next. Updates. Yay, library updates. It's just a PSA if you build Blender. Now, internally, Blender has now support for OpenEXR 3. So, great news. It's cool to see libraries updated. Well, by maintaining support for all their other libraries as well. So OpenEXR 2 is still preserved, of course, but 3 is supported. Also, FFmpeg 5 is now supported in Blender. And OpenImageIO 2.3.4 as well. And yeah, it's cool to see libraries being updated. And the last change in the potpourri section is a paper cut. It's a small bug fix but improves the usability so much. So Dominic fixed 2 bugs, probably more of people that hasn't reported but everybody, I think everybody using nodes ever has run into this. When the sockets were too close together, there was something really annoying happening. So you see, so you click and drag and the action zone wouldn't be exactly on the socket itself, it would be just off. Super annoying. Now it has been fixed. What else? This would happen. Not anymore. Now this has been fixed. Then, oh, I guess this is even worse, right? With the... yeah. So if they were too close together, you click and drag would be super non-precise. Now, this is the new one. I expect it to behave. Wow, that's so cool. That was so cool. Evildoer in the chat, thank you. This drove me crazy. Okay, so you owe Dominic a drink, a cookie, a cake, something. Thank you, Dominic. Awesome little fix. And speaking of nodes, let's switch into the add-ons section. The Node Wrangler. Raise your hand if you don't use Node Wrangler. Because otherwise everybody. Well, no, I want engagement in the chat. So raise your hand if you use the Node Wrangler. Okay, this is one of the most, if not the most popular add-on. It's the Node Wrangler, but now has more textures support for the principal BSDF. So you know this shortcut or operator that allows you to connect the principal BSDF automatically connect into the diffuse and glossy and all the maps automatically. Well, now it supports emission, transmission, alpha, ambient occlusion. Yay. So Leon has contributed. Actually, no, the patch was authored by George B. Bestelix with a bit of support from me. I'm posting it here on their behalf to get there to the official release of Node Wrangler. You see, this is clap. Do I have claps? I need claps. I don't have clap effects. Oh yeah, I do have. You know, these are the claps. When features get added to the Node Wrangler, instead of making a whole new add-on, even if it's free, the add-on is free, the Node Wrangler is where those little fixes should go. I understand that making a new add-on is much easier than going through the review process of adding things to Node Wrangler, but the impact you have, because everybody uses Node Wrangler, is so big that it's much better. It's worth the effort of going through the review and all that to get a feature in Blender available for everyone. Imagine if everybody that contributes to Blender will say like, I'd rather make my own, instead of adding it to going through the trouble of adding it to for everyone. Okay, another add-on that is pretty popular for 3D printing, maybe because it's the first and only 3D print add-on, Toolbox. Add align to XY plane. So Jax made this patch. Allow an object to be rotated so one face or selection can lie flat, parallel to the X and Y plane. This is used for 3D printing setup. The button is added in the 3D print tool add-on in the transform section. Yay! So yeah. Oh, it's even a video. A video. So handy. So this is when you have to like print it laying down, so it's more efficient, I guess, if you don't make it too tall. Also, if it doesn't fit. So yeah, it should be in the transform align to XY plane. Super handy. Let's see. The FBX import add-on. I almost lose it there because there was some silly message in the chat. Okay. FBX import. Raise your hand if you use. I'm abusing the P. Everybody uses. Well, not everybody, but a lot of unlucky people have to use the FBX import or exporter. So hey, here's some news for you. The FBX import add-on has been improved by Steph, and to add focus distance, to allow you to import the focus distance for the camera. Isn't that great? So wait, actually the credits go to a co-worker. He wanted to be referred as Prutzer, who was importing some camera animations, just wanted it to work, but not create a Blender account. That's a Prutzer. Thanks for the feature. You should make an account, because if this feature breaks in the future, your friend is the one that is gonna get like, hey, fix it. Hey, this broke. Hey. So come on. Oh, look at the number. You even got 6,666 for this patch. You should, come on, make an account. This is like it's the developer.blender.org website. You're gonna have the least amount of issues with it. I know making new accounts is boring and annoying, but yeah. Next, actually no, not so much, not so far away. The FBX exporter add-on now supports camera depth of field focus distance export with animation. So you see, this is a very nice side effect because of the addition to import focus distance that was done by the community. Then the developer, the Blender core developer paid by the Blender Foundation, that it's actually maintaining this add-on, added support for exporting depth of field focus distance with animation. So you see, that's pretty cool when the community does something and that it triggers others to implement features. So yay. Okay, next. No, actually there is no next. Tomorrow is 2/22 to wait, no, 22/02/22. Yes, so many twos. I think I'm done. I think I covered all of the, everything that has been added to Blender. So let's switch into the questions, which I am assuming the community has made one. There's one more thing that I wanted to mention, that it is a teaser, by the way, but that the team of Grease Pencil team, but also working as independent, Daniel Martinez Lara and Antonio Vasquez, developer of Grease Pencil, been working on improving or like a new version of KeyMesh, and now they rename it to Claymation, and they are working on it currently to make Claymation in Blender. So basically draw in Grease Pencil, and then you can make it into clay, like convert it into clay, and then then animate it like clay. So in each frame you have a new mesh, so you can do like stop motion. Each keyframe is a new mesh. That's amazing. This is an add-on, by the way, and they plan to add it to the Blender market. No, I'm kidding. To Blender itself, like as one of the add-ons that comes built in with Blender. So super cool news that they are making this. That is all. Let's go into Blender.Today. How many? 18 questions and 1 like. Moko, thank you for that like. Everybody else should feel ashamed for asking a question, not giving a thumbs up to Dead Dragon for making the thread. Thank you, Dead Dragon. Okay, the first question by Slug Nugget. I can't watch this live, but the title sounds hot. Yeah, it's spoiler alert, was a bit of a halfway clickbait. The question, does open movie projects get chosen based on what areas of Blender needs to be improved? Edit, oh no. Oh, about this, I guess. The open movie project get chosen based on what areas of Blender need to be improved. Mainly, yes. I think the last open movie project, the one that is being worked on now, the project Heist, is highly motivated by making something realistic and improving the pipeline that Blender it's not great at the moment. All the baking pipeline, all the realistic hair grooming and stuff, that needs to be tackled. So this project is great for that. Then for previous open movie projects, well, yeah, Big Bug Bunny, the idea for Big Bug Bunny was very everything, furry animals, furry like grass. So the Elephant's Dream, the first open movie project, also the motivation was making a compositor, so there was really heavy in compositing, but every film is heavy in compositing, right? So Tears of Steel, motion tracking. So yeah, I would say it's largely a reason, like a motivation to make an open movie project. See where the limitations of Blender are and try to tackle that. Next question, Blenderhead. Hi Pablo, I was wondering if you know something about Sebastian Bashik's working on the real-time Mantaflow branch. He published the branch for testing in November and then vanished. No weekly reports or posts. Well, the no weekly reports is because he no longer works for Blender Institute, so he doesn't have to report anymore. And that's the last I've seen either. Also on his Twitter, I think that he mentioned it. But no, I haven't seen it. Seen anything new, unfortunately. And the same for Moko. I don't know. Sorry. We need a new maintainer for Mantaflow. If you're out there and you're crazy good at physics, please. Next, SCC. I have a question. I am making a custom shaped cloud by using mesh to volume modifier. Can I export the cloud as VDV? If it's possible, can you show me how to do it? I believe so, yeah. Right? I'm playing from memory. No, you can import, but then can you export? No. Yeah, no, it's the importing that happened, but why? I thought it was possible. No, it's importing. BDB. Yeah. No. Sorry about that. Maybe if I'm wrong, somebody please let me know. Velu says, hey Pablo, I hope you're doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for supporting the Open Movie Sprite Fright, by the way. In the Sculpt Dev vlog, you mentioned the new Vertex paint system that looks amazing. Do you know if it lets you isolate color channels to work on and also paint on the Vertex color channel directly? Well. It's not mentioned in the Sculpt Dev vlog, but the texture Sculpt pipeline, I think they have even the meeting notes here, but the meeting notes for the Sculpt Texture Paint module team, in the last meeting it was discussed about being able to have channel selector for painting as one of their one of the things that is a must-have basically for painting. So it's happening. It's not there yet, but it's part of the team, and the team is planning to work on it. So there are reasons to be positive. Next, I use Blender for making video game VFX. We use this constantly, and so far I haven't seen this functionality outside of the Vertex Color Master add-on. Is there a better way to do this that I missed? Please let me know. Sorry if you already answered this. I'm tuning into the podcast 15 minutes late. No, I just mentioned it. So yeah, short answer, it is coming, it is planned, but it's not there yet. With X-Dragon asks, hello X-Dragon, nice to meet you, 5502. With the new hair system, can I convert hairs to curves and mesh like I can now, but also convert mesh to hair? And will dynamically hair be added and will be... Wait, that's too many questions. So the new hair system, can I convert hair to curves? There's no need to convert, the hair are curves. Can also convert mesh to hair. Well, you can convert it to curves, so you can convert currently mesh to hair, so I would say yes. And will dynamic hair be added? What is dynamic hair? Like physics? Yes, that is planned. Will we be able to apply freeze dynamic hair and editing the hair? Yes. Hair grooming is planned. It is already possible in Blender, so there's yes. It is planned. In case you didn't know, it is currently with the particle hair. So if you add a particle system, you can go into particle edit and start combing. So yeah, this functionality is planned to be added. So no worries. Can you give me an update of this 2-year-old bug? Textures not displayed in sculpt mode due to missing UVs. Well, without even looking at the 2-year-old bug, it sounds like something that would be fixed in the changes that are coming for multi-resolution support for everything that was published in the code blog. That, as you can see at the end, there is beyond. So now here, multi-res. So yeah, so everything that is supported in the topo should also be in multi-res, which means keeping the data layers. X-Dragon, again, can we keep the old hair particle system as a legacy tool, since the Alembic export to Unreal 4 is a little broken and the devs have told us it's not a bug but a feature request? I'm gonna... that was an unexpected sneeze. Thank you for everybody that is saying the equivalent to salute or bless you. Can we keep the old particle system as a legacy tool? Yes, the old particle system is not going anywhere until everything is like replaced. Everything is like the new one can do everything that the new one can, like feature parity. Next, hey, what do you think of my primitives in sculpt mode idea? Primitives in sculpt mode. Just bring the button from I like how proposal, just bring the button from object mode to sculpt mode, so you can already add primitives in edit mode. This was something that I think Pablo Navarro was playing with some time ago, but it's not in thanks everybody in the chat. Bless you, salute. There is that the idea was already played with by Pablo Navarro, I think some time ago, but I don't know what is the status of that, or if it was ever like improved. Hello, could you take a look at this bug for Blender 3 and above? It's a bug in Blender.Today. Display by in 293. When you add bevel depth to a curve and turn on X-ray, you can see a center curve line inside. In 3.0 when the X-ray is on. I don't know if it's a bug or not, but you should... No, this color is for normals, right? So play with the overlay settings. Otherwise, report it as a bug. The worst that can happen is that it gets closed because it's a feature. Okay, I'm gonna scroll to the bottom, so I start reading from the ones that were posted before, like first. So to be fair. The first one by FreeMind. Hey Pablo, I have a proposal for very tiny graphical user interface tweak. What do you think? Panel shadows. Adding shadows under panels would improve reliability, clearer separation between panels, would not blend in the background as they do now. I also propose to increase the distance between panels by a pixel or two for an even better result. I think shadows are a good idea. Maybe not this one in particular. I think this is a bit too strong. But yeah, adding shadows would be cool. Would be a good idea. There's 7 people against it. Why? Mr. Beast is against it. Come on, Mr. Beast. You don't like it? Should be an option. All the power to the theme makers. Yeah, but you know, at some point you're gonna stop adding options for the options. But I think for panels it makes sense because it's a menu. like it's a floating element, so maybe it doesn't make sense for here, but it does make sense for the non-overlap sections. Next question. The ability to add unlimited n-gon holes or n-gon faces. This could be the next big thing for Blender modeling, if that ever happens. Blender modeling? It's essential for the best modeling experience and speed. Hope it happens eventually. Any hope? Been waiting for this since B-Mesh. Oh, so you've been around for a while, if you remember B-Mesh. Unlimited n-gon holes and n-gon faces. I didn't know there was even a limitation right now. So yeah, no, I'm not qualified to reply to this. I didn't even know there was a limitation. Next. Okay, 6 o'clock. Let's do 5 more questions. Hi Pablo, how are you doing today? I'm great. Okay, 4 questions now. I am doing fantastic. We survived this terrible storm that was hitting this part of Europe. I think in Germany, here, the UK, we were all hit by the Eurice storm. But on Friday, we all stayed inside. Some people went home early, but we stayed in the studio. We were safe. But it was crazy. People died in Amsterdam. Containers fall in Rotterdam. It was just insane. Okay. Will the new open movie heist use body and facial mocap? No, the studio doesn't use motion capture. The animators wouldn't allow it. Now, also, we have great animators here, and I think there's no need at this time. What is the future of Blender sculpting? Can you guys take it into the detailing and base mesh creation route, so we don't have to model our base mesh? And can you give some attention to hard surface modeling? What is the future of Blender sculpting? Well, you in the code blog, you can see all the patches. You can follow the project. If you go to the Sculpt texture paint module, the focus of the module is not so much in sculpting, but in texture painting, which is more needed at the moment. As you know, there is a finite amount of developers available, and the Sculpt, texture, paint, they all go together. Like sculpting and painting is pretty similar. When you paint, you set a color on a vertex, for example, for a vertex paint. When you sculpt, you're just setting the positions. You're setting vectors instead of for most tools when you sculpt. So it's very close together, and the developers are going to focus on texture painting now. So unless a new developer comes in to work on sculpt stuff, or maybe some smaller project can be added, like sculpt layers, for example, but not the focus for now is in texture painting. But you know, you can always join the Blender Development Fund to help Blender Foundation get more developers, get developers paid. Developers they are, but to get them paid so they can do this for a living. Yeah, work in Blender. Just like these amazing people all here. Okay. Next, what was it? That was 5, 4, 3. Glenn in Japan. Hi from Japan. Have you ever used the add-on construction lines? I haven't. Blender finally has lines like in SketchUp with this add-on. I'll also test the 3D connection code. I have a 3D mouse. Thanks for the info. Can something like construction lines drawing code be added to Blender in an official release? I'm testing in 3.20 for now. I don't know the add-on itself. I'm sorry. Mondays are the worst day for doing a live stream because I spend the whole weekend without talking much. So construction lines, I don't know. I don't know the add-on itself, but porting those changes into Blender itself into an official release is more up to the developer of the add-on itself. If the feature is basic enough to cover some modeling features or any other feature that is lacking in Blender, it would be considered to be added into Blender itself, but it's more up to the developer. So get in touch with the Construction Lines add-on developer and ask them if they are willing into putting that code into Blender. I think it's always a good thing to do. Anytime you see an add-on that you think, hey, this should be in Blender, just get in touch, ask the developers. It's like the add-on developers. It's like, hey, why don't you add this in Blender itself? And then they may tell you their reasons. Maybe one of them it's because they don't know if it's gonna get accepted, or maybe the code is not good enough. But when you put your code up for review, you kind of get a free learning course because they give you feedback on your code. So it's great for learning, I think, getting your code and up to the level that Blender code has. So that's a good thing. Another answer might be like, hey, I need to pay the bills, you know, so if I sell the add-on, I make pay the bills. But you know, the developers can always apply for a development fund grant. So like this money is not just for people on a payroll, like for getting like permanent developers, but it's also for smaller grants. For example, all the sculpting stuff that we saw on at the beginning of the show was done by Joe Eager, which he had a 3-month grant. So there are people that sometimes get 1 month grant or 3 months or 6 months grants to work on Blender, but not on a permanent basis. So maybe the add-on developer can say like, hey, Ton, I would like to work on this area for 3 months. This is my proposal. Can I get a grant? And you know, you can get that's how both can pay the bills and everybody benefits from Blender. This question number 2. Hello, Pablo. I hope you have a great Monday. Some time ago, I saw this post by Retopoflow. What is this post? Announcement. Some big changes could be coming to Retopoflow and Blender topology in general. When was this? In January. Oh, was this announced? We have some news to share that we'll be working on Retopo in this year and beyond. I haven't actually seen this. It was during January. Yeah, I was on holidays. Starting January, John Lenning, our lead developer, will be working with the Blender Foundation dev on a grant to do just that. So, what I was just talking about. Yay! I didn't plan this. So, the Retopoflow has been discussing to merge some of the features into Blender for everybody. You know, Retopoflow is the best Retopo tool for Blender out there, and if you look at the grants, you're gonna see that is it already here? Is it in the previous grants? Or maybe it's not. This list is built by hand. Here, John Denning, 6 months Retopo. So you see, your money from the development fund is helping Retopo in Blender because it's now coming. So okay, I was wondering what the current status of this is, if there is any news about it. Thanks. No, not that I. Where could we follow this? Maybe here. What if we search for John Denning? John Denning, GFX coder, and we can stalk them, the commits. So no, this is old, but maybe there is patches. Retopology mode in Blender. There is a task that is being created a few days in February, and this is the proposal of retopology mode in Blender. And there is a design doc. Wow. Yes. Here you go. Plenty to read about. Look at the task. Well, I'm just going to share this with you as a comment. It's super cool. Oh, no. Everything updated when I... Yeah, I lost the question where I was. Okay. Hey, Pablo. Thanks for the encouragements. You made me push to another Angular change. Yes. Made it. Thank you, Best Delix. And thank you for being a Bronze Development Fund supporter. So, that is a success story. You know? That's cool. Nice. So we didn't get a lot of new features today, but we're getting a lot of good vibes. Developers that are, you know, willing to contribute their changes into Blender itself for everybody to enjoy. So we all benefit. Isn't that a nice happy ending? Okay, I think I don't have more time for questions, but since they are here, let's see. Hi Pablo, when remove the sync mode and make it on by default like in my sync on what? Make it on by default in Maya. No, not sure which one you're mentioning. Which sync mode you mean? Like in which mode, in which editor? The next question, the last one. Hello Pablo. For geometry nodes, do you think attributes for instances will be useful in shading nodes with 3.1? I think the change was for 3.2 though. The release notes say it's not useful in shading nodes yet. I was just wondering if it's the point. No, I think that's planned for 3.2. I think so. If I understand what it's, yeah, not 3.1. Sorry, 3.1 is it's almost out. It actually I have to when is it in? So we are 21, 28. Serious. Oh my gosh, 1 week, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks for Blender 3.1 to come out. Okay, I need to stop this live stream and start working now on the release notes page for 3.1. Oh gosh. Okay. No panic. Don't panic. You know what? Let's wrap this one for today. I'm gonna quickly leave this place and run home. Hope it's not raining. No, it's not. To start the live stream in Spanish. Remember, I do Blender.Today in English. 1 hour later, I start Blender hoy en español for my Latin American people and people that want to learn Spanish by talking about Blender. All right. Thanks everybody. I think today was actually quite a good show. I was afraid that we wouldn't have a lot of things to share regarding the new features, but I'm happy that we got some questions and that some of the questions were connected and we get more people contributing to Blender. I try, whenever I see a new commit, I try to give a shout out because it's a way to say thanks to the people that go through the trouble of compiling Blender and fixing things, especially people that commit bug fixes. It's just like, or that they go to right click select, see what is popular, what people are wanting the most, and go and give it a try. And I would suggest you do the same. If you are tinkering with code here and there, give it a try. Sometimes you learn a lot from seeing what the code review goes through for other patches or even for your own patches. So it's a great way to learn and contribute to this open source weirdness. Okay, time to wrap up. In 5, 4, 3, watch out your ear holes. It's been an amazing week. Thanks everybody in the chat for the good vibes, good messages, the bless yous, the everything. See you next week. Same place, same time, for another episode of Blender Today Live.